You're a year older than me, aren't you? So I'm 37.
What? You're not older than me?
Fucking hell, man. I mean, look, I've got a lot of grey. You'd be well inclined to think that, but I think you might be 38, right?
Yes, I'm 38.
Yeah. Okay. Jobsworth, Season 2, Episode 4, Caffeine, Cult and Creativity. Welcome to episode 4 of Jobsworth Season 2. This week I sit down with Andy Yates, owner of Leon Sea-based coffee shop, Cult Coffee and Tattoos. Andy and I started our businesses within 6 months or so of each other. We met for the first time when his coffee shop doubled up as a photography studio for my LinkedIn headshots, and all it cost me was the price of a skinny latte. It's been over 5 years since Andy opened the doors to what has become one of the most iconic spots in the area, and whilst he's had plenty of success so far, it feels like he's just getting started. Andy's experience at school and his short stint at sixth form will resonate with a lot of you, as will his pursuit of finding a steady job as a teenager to start getting money in the bank without any clear idea of what he wanted to do when he grew up. We discuss how he ultimately landed a job after some of the worst interview prep I've ever heard of that would offer him a stable living for over 14 years as a heating engineer before he chucked it all in to follow his true passion. Coffee. The birth of Cult saw Andy given an opportunity to showcase his creativity and style, and it was his unparalleled determination and self-belief that drove him on to create a business that is as original as it is successful. We shine a light on Andy's DIY skills, talk to him about embracing fatherhood, his future plans for the Cult brand, and get an insight into his refreshing take on customer service. So, without further ado, let me introduce you to the guy in charge of keeping Leon Sea caffeinated and the pound for pound strongest bloke in the gym, unverified, Andy Yates. Right, Andy, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
No, you're very welcome, mate. I've been really looking forward to this one for a number of reasons, and
Good.
We'll get into the questions that I've got lined up for you as well. But we are going to start with the opening tradition on the podcast, which is the opening question. So, when you were younger, What did you want to be when you grew up?
I didn't know what I wanted.
Okay.
I'd never been one of them kids that was like, right, I want this to do this, I want to do that, and never really, I don't know, I didn't really think like that, I suppose, when I was at school. So yeah, 16, because obviously when we went to school, 16, you didn't have to stay on, did you? No. So now I think kids have to stay till they're 18.
18,
maybe?
yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so when we were kids, 16 come, it's like, oh fuck, what do you do? Because I didn't know. So I said I went sixth form for a bit, done a year, and just had one of them days in there. And then I remember the head teacher coming into the thing, and he must have said something to me. I went, oh fuck this, and I just walked out. And then my pal come running after me behind. He's like, are you leaving? I was like, yeah, this ain't for me. I've done a year. I don't enjoy this. He's like, oh, let's go. And we both just left together.
Really?
I didn't know at the time. I had a part-time job in Sainsbury's. Yep. Just 'cause I need to make some money. So I just kind of went there full time for a bit.
Where did you grow up, Andy?
Tottenham.
Tottenham. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So right. So what was that experience? So talk me through what school age Andy was like. Were you particularly, even though you didn't necessarily have these sort of dreams? I've had people say vet's a common one, but you've got none of those aspirations. No. But were you academic at school?
I didn't enjoy school that much.
Right. Okay.
Not that I hated school, but things didn't come to me that well.
Right.
The only things when I was at school that I loved doing was like construction and art. They were the only things I was good at. Art was the only I got an A star in art. Everything else I got C's and D's in.
Okay.
So that was the only thing that I kind of like excelled in. I think I'm quite creative now as well.
Yeah.
And I really like that side of it. But I didn't know what to, like I said, when it comes to school, I was very good at being like a bit of a copy artist. If you give me a picture, I went draw that, I could be like, all right, cool.
Nice.
I could draw that really well. But then at that time I was a bit like, it's no call for like a copy artist. Do you know what I mean? I can't just be doing that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And then I really liked carpentry.
Yeah.
So then I did kind of get to the end of school and I was like, oh, maybe I'll be a carpenter. 20 odd years ago, IKEA was like massive then. So nobody wanted to pay money for like a bespoke wardrobe or I wanted that sort of stuff. I wanted to be doing like proper carpentry, like a stair, like it was just nice, good stuff. But people weren't spending money on that then.
Yeah.
They would like, I need a wardrobe, fuck it, I'll go to IKEA.
It did go through that sort of like,
massive.
It blew up, didn't it, around that time?
People still love IKEA, and I'm not got nothing against IKEA. It's got some good, like if you need some stuff, but people didn't spend money on carpenters. They didn't want that sort of, I don't know, that luxury, I guess. So I was just like, no offense, hanging doors and shit. I wanted to like make stuff.
Like the real give a chance, I guess, to put the artistry into the carpentry work that you were doing. I've got a few friends. I say one in particular. I don't know if you know a guy called Chris French. He's quite well known around here, but he lives out. God, I want to say like Burnham Way now, but he's an artist. Right. He's an artist, but he just makes furniture out of wood. But his stuff is incredible, and that's the kind of thing you're describing reminds me of that. And I get that the other side of it is pretty mundane. And
but I was a bit at that age. I didn't think that I could make that sort of stuff and make money from it.
Yeah,
interesting. I think it's kind of I've said when I'm older, want to retire, nice house. At the end of my garden, I want a workshop. Just so I could just sit in there and like make whatever the fuck I want. And just, it's just, I enjoy making stuff. Like we'll get onto it with Colt later, but all the tables and all the stuff in there, I made all that.
Did you
and
really?
Then there's tables there 5 years later. I couldn't find tables I wanted, so I was like, fuck it.
Oh mate, that's awesome. Yeah,
I'll give it a go. But we can.
That's brilliant.
We'll talk about it when we get to have it.
But I always like to ask what people's experience was like at school, and it always leads to the next question, which is like careers guidance at school as well. Now we went to school some time ago. I've spoken to people that went a lot longer than us ago as well, but it's always interesting. I remember career guidance for me when I got to college was just you had like very traditional routes that you went to. Like most of it was pushing you down like towards the city, or you go and learn a trade like carpentry, electrician, plumber, whatever it was. Do you remember anything about any of the guidance you were getting, or were you particularly inspired by anyone for that education system? It doesn't sound like you were.
Nothing really. I knew I wanted to do something with my hands. Like I said, I went to sixth form just because I was like, I didn't know what I wanted.
What did you do at sixth form?
I can't remember.
There you go. Well, that's it.
I can't remember. Yeah. I took some subjects just to like kind of
tick the box, go through the process.
A bit more time. And that's when I was in sixth form. And I was like, you know what, I want to do something with my hands, and I wanted to be an electrician at first.
Yep.
But trying to get an apprenticeship back then was fucking. I couldn't find anything.
Really.
But yeah, guidance wise, I can't remember the school giving me much. Yeah. The school I went to, I don't think it's even there anymore. I'm sure that's gone now.
Really.
Yeah, I didn't go to. They weren't great schools. I went to primary school in Tottenham, then I went to senior school in Edmonton. So, both pretty rough areas. Not the nice.
Interesting places to grow up.
But I love London. Even living out here now, I still love London, and I'm glad I was born and raised in London, because I think you're a bit more savvy streetwise.
Well, you would have seen the comparison between people that have only grown up in Leigh-on-Sea as an example.
100%.
You know, it's a comfy part of the world, and
it is
quite well protected around here and everything.
Whereas Tottenham was a different kettle of fish, but I loved it. You know what I mean? I probably wouldn't want to live there now.
Yeah.
But that's what I knew as a kid. You know what I mean? My dad was from East London. And it was just like, he's used to growing up in a council estate and whatever. And it was just like, we had our own house. We didn't live in a council house or anything like that. But it was like, we used to that was life. That's what I knew. So,
well, all those experiences shape you, and without getting too cliche about it, they help you grow into the person 100%. You are now as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so we leave school, we go sixth form.
Yeah.
That's quite a turnout to literally say to one of your mates, I'm leaving, and they're like, I'll fuck off as well. It's like a bit of a mutiny on that day. Yeah. What? So you leave school. I'm interested, what's the reaction from your parents?
My parents are really like, they want me to just do what I want to do. So
brilliant.
It wasn't, not that they were like, I didn't get a round of applause, but I think it was that mum and dad kind of knew that they weren't one. My old man left school like really young, but he's much older. Do you know what I mean? They didn't really say much. I kind of in my head had I wanted to get into an apprenticeship.
Yeah,
but I'm just trying to find one. So it was just a case of, mum, I've left.
There you go.
Do you know what I mean?
But it's much better to have. This is a subjective opinion, but it's much better to have parents that are going to back you and support you in doing something you're happy doing. If if they know you're going to college every day or sixth form and you're just unhappy and you're not getting anything from it, it's a waste of time.
I was never going to be a uni person. I never was. It wasn't something that ever crossed my mind. That was never going to be my route. But the folks were what it is. They knew something.
So they were supporting you. Yeah, cool. Yeah. Okay, so. Okay, you walk out, and then what happens next?
So I walk out. So then I kind of went to Sainsbury's. I was doing Sainsbury's on I used to do a Sunday and maybe a Wednesday night.
Right. Okay.
Just to earn a bit of money.
Yeah.
So I'm probably 17 now. I've done a year.
Yeah. So
I've done AS level. I've done AS level. So I'm 17 now. So I'm like, right, fuck it. I need to find something. So I went to some agencies to try and find apprenticeship. Wanted to be an electrician.
And was that just I say inspiration, that drive to be an electrician, did that just come from you thinking it's a decent trade, there'll be work there'll be money coming in?
100%.
Yeah. Okay.
100%. It was something I was like, I'd give that a go.
What did your dad do?
He's retired now. At the time, he worked at the airport.
Right.
He used to cater the aeroplanes.
Oh, really?
So that's what he done. Do you know what I mean?
Nice,
That's what he done.
Yeah.
We lived in Tottenham. He worked at Heathrow. He used to commute every day. He used to do some shit hours.
I was going to say, yeah. Wow.
But we're a working class family. He had to do what he had to do to provide. Like, he was a full-time earner. Mum used to be a dinner lady.
Yeah.
But I got an older sister who's in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
So mum's was her full-time carer.
Yeah.
So mum couldn't go to work.
Right.
So dad had to do the work. So if there's money to be made, he's going to fucking make it.
So he's a good example of that work ethic that you knew you needed. You need to
got
provide.
to do it. Doesn't matter. I got to get up at 2 a.m. to drive to the airport to do a shift at work. All right, I'll do it.
Yeah.
There's not a fucking no. He didn't enjoy it. Didn't want to do it, but he's got 2 kids and a wife, and he needs to support. You know what I mean? Like I said, I've got a sister who's in a wheelchair. Mum looks after her.
Yeah.
Does a little bit of work. Dinner lady in that. So he had to do it.
Okay.
So,
yeah. Cool. I didn't know if there was a connection there between doing a trade like that would fall into that bracket of. I don't know.
No, he's not really ever been one for. Not that he's not hands on, because he is, but he's not been one to like push that onto me.
Yeah, got you.
Like I said, working class background. It's always a bit like learn a trade. So it's a good thing to have under your belt. Do you know what I mean? So I think it was more of they were like, push it if you can get one. Then happy days, because we know, like you said, you're always going to need a sparks. You're always going to need plumbers. You're going to need heating engineers. You're going to need all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And usually it's short notice.
Yeah.
You will pay for that as well.
Yeah. So
you went to these agencies.
So I tried. Yes, I went to Sainsbury's. I went to them. I went, look, I need some more hours at the minute. I've got nothing. They're like, yeah, cool. So they gave me some more hours. I kind of went full time ish there while looking for an apprenticeship. Signed up to agencies. Found an apprenticeship. Mechanical engineering,
nice.
Which I was a bit like, oh, what's this entail? So I kind of went along for the interview. Ended up being in a factory. Ended up being they done loads of car parts and stuff like that. But I ended up they taught me how to turn on a lathe. So I was doing all that sort of stuff. So I'm like, all right, this is cool. So I've been there for about 6 months. I went to the Ford factory in Wales and stuff like that. So I was like, this is all right. But they taught me something and then left me.
Right.
Slave labour then.
Yeah.
They're like, this guy's knocking this shit out. Like,
production.
We just leave this guy. And I was a bit like, what the fuck, man? I don't want to be in a factory for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I don't want to be doing this. I don't want this life for me.
Right.
So then I kind of went to my boss. I went, this ain't what, like, you've taught me something, you've left me. I said, I'm a bit. And he went fucking mental at me.
Did he really?
Like, what? I've done this. I'm like, whoa. All right.
So that reaction like that just was completely
I didn't
unexpected
expect it, and
from
I was
your
like,
side.
this is really weird. So then I was like, all right, whatever. I gave him my notice, walked out, and he called me in his office the next day, and I was like, all right. He's like, oh, I need to apologise for yesterday. He was like, yeah, I'm shocked. He goes, but I'm also gutted because you're a really good worker.
Right.
I'm like, you fucking should have treated me better, didn't you?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Don't teach me something and leave me.
Yeah.
So he was I think he was just like a bit.
That's a lesson in itself, isn't it? I think that's a lesson more broadly for anyone that's got someone that's working under them. You've got to support them. You've got to continue. There's this, I don't know, this feeling that I've invested in someone. I've done you a favour, so now you owe me.
Yeah.
You've got to be loyal because I've given you a shot or whatever that looks like. 100%. And that's a perfect example of that, I think.
So then I left that. And then I'm back to square one. So I go back to Sainsbury's again. Got some more hours for me. Yeah, here you go. So they do that. Once again, signed up to agencies, didn't really hear a lot. And I get a letter through the post, Worcester Bosch, apprenticeship. I'm like, oh, sweet. Looked at it. Oh, you got to come to Rochford. Right. So it's not a million miles away. It's in Kent, just from but I'm like, I'm driving anyway. But I'm like, oh shit, do I work in Rochford? Didn't look at anything. I didn't think. So I ring them up. I went, I just got this through the post sort of thing. I didn't even apply for this job.
Yeah.
So I rings them up. I'm like, I got this through the post. Would I be working in Rochford? They're like, oh no, you're if you get the job, you get qualified, you'll be out of an engineer.
Right.
I'm like, all right, cool, fuck it. I'll go for it. Looking back I didn't do no research.
Yeah.
Who was the Bosch? I didn't know what they'd done. So I've gone, it's really bad. I've gone into this interview and there's me, there's loads of these other lads, there's tables, there's about 20 of us sitting down. And then they come into all of us and we're like, all right guys, one of you hasn't done an application form. I'm like, yeah, that's me, because I didn't even apply for this job, but whatever. So I filled this thing out And then they sit us still down and they put a video on of what Worcester Bosch do. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, I don't know what I
literally learning as you're sat there.
I had no idea what they'd done. I'm like, how bad is that? Do you know what I mean?
It wouldn't be the advice that I'd give someone going into an environment.
No. So I've gone into this interview. So I'm sitting there watching. They're going, "Oh, they make boilers." I'm like, "Oh shit, okay then, sweet." So then you do your basic maths and English test, passed that. Went for an interview with the manager then, who was my manager when I left the firm. Sat down with him, had the most like relaxed interview ever.
Yeah.
Him and his senior technician at the time. We didn't really talk about work. He just spoke about this, that, and the other. I played hockey at the time.
Yeah.
His daughters played hockey, so it was a bit like, Then I always vividly remember that his like engineer was like, "Oh yeah, I've just been travelling." I'm like, I'm in an interview here.
This is what it feels like to have a proper job interview.
What is going on? And I'm like, good thing I didn't even fucking revise for this. So anyway, they wanted 2 apprentices for the thing, and I got offered the job, and I was like, whoa.
That's quite a selection process then. So you're talking about a room of 20 people, and then I'm thinking Squid Game in my head, but probably didn't go through that process. But you've gone from 20 down to 2 on the day, and then you're selected from that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they picked 2 of us. 2 of us would gone through. So the 20 of us were there, and then they interviewed whoever. If you passed the test, they interviewed X amount of us. I can't remember who it was, and then they wanted 2 apprentices, so they picked 2 of us.
Yeah.
So what was really nice for me is that they kind of picked me on me as a person.
Yes, yeah.
Because I didn't know fuck all.
Yeah.
I hadn't done anything. I work in Sainsbury's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And left a fucking sixth form after a year.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't have fuck all. So it was nice that they took me on that merit. And then, I got the job. It was apprentice for 2 years, become an engineer, become a senior engineer. I was there for 14 years.
And it was Worcester Bosch that you were working for all of that time?
Yeah, all that time.
So what's the difference then? First off, it sounds like the initial impression they made on you was more about you as a person, which probably, I don't know, it kind of gels you in a little quicker, doesn't it? But what keeps you there to finish that apprenticeship when you've gone through, let's say, a couple of cycles of trying stuff?
Yeah.
What was it specifically about that? If you can think back to that.
Staying at the company for that long?
Like completing the apprenticeship in itself. Why?
It was a 2-year apprenticeship, and there was a group of us lads. I think there was 10 of us. So we're scouted from all over the country. So Worcester Bosch is all over the country, right? So they've taken 10 apprentices, I think, on that year for us lot. 2 lads from Scotland, and the rest of us are all from England. And it's like we're scattered everywhere. So we used to go to college in Dudley, near Birmingham.
Yep.
So we used to go for college 2 weeks at a time. So they used to pay for us to stay in a hotel. They paid for our food every night. We'd stay up there. We'd go up on a Sunday night. Would then do a week of college, come home on a Friday afternoon, then drive back up on a Sunday and have 2 week blocks.
Right.
And it was a fucking brilliant time.
Yeah.
When I look back at it now, I'm like, I'm learning something here, but got these lads that we go out and have a drink and everything, and just it was just brilliant while learning something. And then the other time in between the college, I was then in a van with a mentor. We went around to people's houses, fixed boilers, serviced them, and then just went home. And it was when we first started, it was like a really nice, cushy little job, really. You'd get your jobs. It was job and knock, so you get your jobs, you get them done, you go home.
Oh, nice.
Like, this is lovely. So if you get a couple of quick ones, you're in and out, and you're I'll make up some nice time here. And then a lot more things kind of came in as it went along. They were all really watching everyone, which they do now, which I get.
Like regulation and compliance stuff. And,
you to tap in and tap out of jobs. They know if you're finishing early, they're going to throw another job on you, which I get it. They want to get their money out of you and they want you to work. But when you first signed up, you're like, I'm finished at 2:00. This is fucking lovely.
Is a touch.
This is lovely.
It reminds me of like I've mentioned it a couple of times. I used to do scaffolding.
Right.
And it reminds me very much of that way of working. Like first off, it was the people that I used to work with, and I got introduced and exposed to some really interesting characters in that world. Like I worked from a scaffold yard out in Watford, travelling into central London every day with some of the most interesting people I've ever met and probably will ever meet in my life. So it was the people made it interesting, and I was engaged with it. The work was. I mean, it was hard graft, but there was something tangible. Like same in a lot of ways with fixing something. Like you go in, it's broken, you fix it. That's your sign of success. But if you could finish the jobs and get done, and everyone's in that mindset. You're all in it together. You're like, no one wants to be here any longer. Let's get it done and get out again. So that sense of like camaraderie that you have with the people you're working with, I miss that a lot when I start working.
I miss it with them boys, and I'm still like. I've been gone there, left 5 years now. But they had their Christmas do last week. They invited me to that and stuff.
Oh, nice.
Because I never got fired.
Yeah.
Most people get fired or whatever.
They burn out or they get fired or whatever.
It's a cushy job. Once you're in there, it's a good number. It's not that taxing because you're working on a boiler. It's not a lot of heavy lifting. It's a great, like, if you're a little bit older, like mid-50s and want to retire and do something like that, you've got 10 years, you could be doing that or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a cushy little number. But at my point in my life, where I'm early 30s, I'm like, do I want to do this for the rest of my life?
Yeah. So when did that mindset, when did those thoughts start creeping in? Do you want to be doing it for the rest of your life?
I kind of got into, like I said, I was at the firm, as an apprentice, then I worked my way up and become a senior engineer. That was as high as you can kind of go. Next step is management, just coming off the tools. I'm not ready. I wasn't ready for that. I don't want to do that. That wouldn't be where I want to go. My manager was wicked anyway. He's still the manager now. He was never going to be leaving, so his job would never be coming up.
Oh, so it was literally unless he went. So,
yeah,
that was the route up.
I'm still here, and I don't think my face kind of fits for management. Maybe I don't know if I was a bit like I don't know. But I enjoyed being an engineer, and I enjoyed doing it. But after, I wanted more in a way.
So you're 14 years in the job. So what? Was it an overnight thing? Did you wake up one morning and think this is it? Or was it a process? What was the instigator for you then transitioning out of that? Might be quite a broad question to answer. But
I'd done a lot of travelling within the job.
Yeah.
So we lived in Tottenham, but then once I just qualified, I moved out with my parents. They moved to Braintree, and then I lived with them. So then, but I still said to my London manager, because there was Essex who had their own region, London had its own one. My manager looked after London, and I said to him, look, I'm moving out with my folks. I said, my plan is to come back into London at some stage, but I want to stay under you as my manager. I'll travel in if you're happy with that. He was like, yes, fine. Because the way they used to work the jobs, they used to work your travel time from your house to your first job, and then your last job to your house, and that would be your hours. So you'd get paid for travelling from home.
Oh, right, okay.
So it was brilliant. So it was really good. But I used to give them half an hour because I lived half an hour out of the region. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And travelling for me just really took its toll. And I was just sitting in that van for hours a day, and I'm just like, Gives
you time to ruminate, doesn't it? And think.
Yeah.
Often overthink as well. That type, whether you got the radio on or not. If you're stuck in a traffic jam, as I'm sure you would have often
all the time
been, you're just sitting there thinking, is it worth it?
Is it worth it?
I can imagine.
Yeah. And it was stressful. And then when the winter came round, that was our peak months. That's when the boilers go wrong. And that's, like I said, I was a senior engineer. I had a team I looked after. My phone's constantly ringing. I'm fixing boilers. I've got someone ringing me going, Andy, what's wrong with this? I'm like, fuck. I'm trying to fix a boiler as well. You know what I mean? I'm like, what the fuck's going on? And it's like, I've got this shit call over here. Can you go and do this? I'm like, I'm a senior engineer. I've got to go and do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've got no much choice. So it just got to a point where I'd done it for long enough to be like, this isn't for me anymore.
I mean, we'll go on to what you're doing in a second. I would have mentioned it in the introduction anyway to this. But so you're going through that headspace.
Yeah.
Had this, this pursuit of this other venture that you end up going down, that started by this time. Where on the chronology do we get to where you go, fuck it, I'm giving in.
I'm leaving.
My notice.
So probably a year before I actually left, when I got a little bit early 20s, mid 20s, I kind of got an idea in my head that I'd love to have a shop.
Yeah.
Didn't know what it was.
Okay.
I'd like to open a shop. I'd love to, I don't know what it is. I had that idea of, I want to go and open the doors to my own shop, open that and be like, this is mine.
Well, I've got to ask that, what there has to be something that sparked that. Can you remember? Can you put it down to one thing? No inspiration that made you think that is something I'd want to do?
I kind of always wanted to have a clothes shop.
Okay, yeah.
That was my first thing. I wanted a boutique, sort of thing. I like clothes and stuff like that. So when I was growing younger, I was just a bit like, I could see myself with something like that, but I never went through with the fashions, the clothes side of it, because it was just, I don't know why. I just kind of didn't, but I always kind of saw that idea. So yeah, probably a year before I left, I'd already started messing around with coffee and getting used to it. And I was like, you know what? I had a bit of money saved up because I was still living at home, to be fair.
Yeah.
I stayed living at home for a long time.
Yeah.
But I got qualified in my job. I started earning good money. So I started spending money. So I was like, let me treat my buy a nice car. I'm going to buy this. And I was like, shit, I should really be saving.
Right.
Or I should move out. But I never really liked the idea of renting.
Yeah. I think there's still a big stigma around renting.
Which I now think renting's great because I rent now. But my parents bought a house. I'm like, I got to buy a house. That's what I need to do.
Yeah.
So I stayed at home. Mum and dad weren't kicking me out. They were happy that I was there. So I'm like, you know what, fuck this. I'm single at the minute. I'm going to start saving money. So I started stacking some money for a little while. I actually went to buy a flat.
Right.
I didn't get that flat. It fell through. So then I was a bit like, oh shit. So then I was like, I've got this money. And then the idea of opening a shop came up. And then I actually went for a shop on Lee Road, but it wasn't my shop.
What can you share which shop it was?
Wild Health.
Oh, was it really on the corner? Right, okay.
Just before they had got it, because it was a Barber's before that, maybe.
God, I think you're right. It was like a one or two. I mean,
Really
it might have been a single seater Barber's actually.
Really small. So I remember it just before them girls had, or they actually got it, because I remember I inquired about it. I saw the sign up and I was like, oh, this is a nice spot.
Yeah.
My idea for the coffee shop side of it was, I always kind of wanted the hole in the wall where it was just me slinging out coffees.
Nice, yeah.
Maybe one or two chairs. People will come in and be like, have a little chat with them.
Yeah.
There's your coffee.
Get out.
On your way. And that was my idea at the start. I don't know if I would have made money like that, because I don't know.
But that way of working appealed to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted a little, and we'll probably get into this a bit later, but that's my retirement plan, is to have that.
Okay.
I want a little coffee shop by myself again.
Yeah.
Just slinging out espressos. People come in, there's an espresso. See
yeah.
That? But anyway, so yeah, Wild Health was the idea.
Right.
Lovely little corner plot, nice little shop. I'm like, I could put a nice bar in there, coffee machine in there, lovely. Yeah. But anyway, them girls have got it, and then it went on a back burner, and then I moved here. Then I moved to Southend. I moved to Westcliff.
So what prompted that move?
My partner at the time.
Right. Okay.
So she lived in Southend.
Yeah.
So I moved here for her.
Yeah.
And then I was renting.
Right.
So then I wasn't topping up my funds as much.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm spending a lot of money here. So then I just kind of just ticked over, and I carried on doing my job. I was still just fixing boilers. I'm like, this is.
But at that time, knowing full well you're getting to the end of that road.
Yeah, I didn't want to be doing that anymore. Yeah. But I'm just like, what do I do, sort of thing. Yeah. And then I was living here.
Nice. So the move here happened.
Yep.
Then how did you come to where you are now, where Colt... I'm gonna say the full name. It is Colt Coffee and Tattoos, isn't it? A lot of people know it as Colt.
Yeah.
So how did you come to getting in the premises that you are now?
So, as I said, I moved here at the time, so Sam, who owns Silver Needles.
Yeah.
She was my partner at the time. And then girl that owned Colt before us.
Right.
It was a tattoo studio.
Right.
So I was kind of looking for shops, but not looking for shops. It was one of them. The idea was that Sam knew what I wanted to do and stuff like that. So I said, she's got Silver Needles here in Southend. And then the girl that owned, it was Pride and Glory before us.
I remember it now.
Just tattoo studio.
Yeah.
Right. So the girl that owned that, she actually messaged Sam and was like, oh, she was giving a shop up and was like, oh, have you got any space at yours to come work at yours? And then Sam was like, oh, so what's happening with your shop then? And then I just always remember, I remember being in Sam's shop at the time, and Sam rang me. She was like, oh, where are you? I was like, I'm just about to go to the gym, because obviously the gym was right next to her shop.
Yeah.
So I popped into the shop to see some of the guys in there. And then she was like, where are you? I was like, I'm just at yours, actually. Yeah. And she was like, oh, I've just met up with, I'm at Pride and Glory. I've just come to meet up with Thingy. I'm like, all right, cool. She was like, do you just want to pop here quick? I was like, what? She's like, yeah, just come down. So I ended up going there. She's like, oh yeah, so she wants to leave. So we just like, she's asked Sam for an interview to work at Sam's, and then there's me and Sam walking around the shop going,
saw the opportunity.
Okay, we could do some stuff with this. And then obviously the shop came up. We went for it, as well. Loads of others did as well, but we wanted to, obviously, she had it as a tattoo studio. We wanted to keep the tattoo side, but then add the coffee side.
Right, okay.
So that's where the two of us, like Sam said, like, do you want to go in together? We'll do this. I'll do sort the tattoo inside. You do the coffee side.
Yeah.
And that's how coffee was built. That's how Colt.
I'd love it if that was how coffee was
that was
born.
it.
Yeah.
And that was how Colt become Colt.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Sam was your partner at the time.
Yeah.
No longer.
No longer.
Right. Okay. So no longer together. Did you have any trepidation going into it, thinking that how much thought did you put in before we're going in together?
Yeah, I didn't think about it.
Yeah.
Didn't think about it. You kind of don't. I got the excitement of like, finally going to have a coffee shop.
Yeah.
It's what I've been wanting for a little while now, and I'm finally going to kind of do. I needed someone to give me that kick up the arse a little bit, and that's what she done.
Yeah.
Because she's already got a shop and whatever, and she's like done all that before where I hadn't.
Yeah.
This was a new realm for me as well. She's opening a coffee shop. She's opening putting a tattoo studio into with me and that, but she's got a tattoo studio.
Yeah.
She knows what she's doing. That's fine. Whereas me, I'm like, I fucking fix boilers. Now I want people to give me money for coffee I'm going to make. I'm like, what the fuck?
It's quite a turnaround.
Yeah. Like, talk about one end of the spectrum to the other. So
yeah, okay. No, that's really interesting, and I completely get. I mean, it sounds fated that you're always going to end up in that shop. I guess the way it all turned round.
It was
culminated.
Yeah, it was just mental.
Yeah, I'm going to ask. Have you got a son, Andy?
Yeah.
So you're a dad.
Yeah.
How old's your son?
6.
6. Okay, so he was born around the time you're getting into this.
So this sounds really weird now because right. So he is my son.
Right.
I'll classify him as my son, but he is my partner's son.
Okay.
So he's
right.
not mine.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
not by blood.
Okay.
He's been in my life now for. Me and Anna have been together nearly 4 years in the summer.
Yeah.
So I've known him since he was 2.
Oh,
you know
God,
what I mean?
yeah.
When I first met him, he was in a buggy.
Yeah.
And we were pushing him around and stuff, and then I'm the one that was.
You
there.
are his dad.
Yeah,
you
100%.
are his dad.
And then I'm the one that was there, and we got him out of a buggy. He then started walking. He gets a scooter. I teach him on a scooter, and it was nice. His first day of school, I'm there. Do you know what I mean? And I've lived that life with him. So no matter when it was, he's my son.
Oh mate, yeah, I'm not going to argue that at all.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've got 2 kids of my own, and I know that 2-year-old age is when, first off, it's when it becomes fun.
Yeah.
But it's when so many of those pivotal moments happen for them too. So how much pressure? Additional pressure does it put on you knowing that you've obviously got to look after your son as well when you're bringing money in?
Massively.
Because you've gone from a very stable job of 14 years where you know what you're getting in your pay packet every single month to starting a coffee shop in an area where there are also a fair few coffee shops too. Yeah. So, and
heighten that even more, that me and Anna kind of got together the height of COVID.
Right.
So my business was very up and down as well.
Yeah, I
was literally a year old, and then COVID hit.
Wow.
And then I met Anna in the June of that year, of the COVID year. 2020.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was the COVID years when we met each other and started talking and stuff, and it was very much surreal because we couldn't go out on dates because we weren't allowed out because nowhere was open.
I was going to say, even meeting in the first place is you've done well.
So it was all a bit, you know what I mean? So when I opened Colt, I didn't take any loans out for Colt. It was my money.
Oh, amazing.
Because like I said to you, I saved up X amount of money because I was going to buy a flat. And then I was like, I want a career change. So then I'm like, you know what? I've got this money. I'm going to put this into business. And I went in with the attitude of, if it doesn't work, I've only lost some money. Sounds really bad, but that was what it was. I had a good chunk of money, and I'm like, right. So I put that money into it. So a year in, when COVID then hit, I'm like, fuck, my savings, I've got none. Fuck. And then, then I met Anna, and it's like, so I've got Anna, and there's a son, and
a new relationship.
Yeah.
You know, you're in mid-30s, new relationship. She's got a son. You want to try and, authentically come across as someone that can provide, and you've got your shit together.
Yeah. Not just winging it.
And on the other hand, you've got a pandemic that is literally, affecting. I know Colt still had their doors open in whatever guise you were allowed to have your doors open at that time. So you were still getting stuff going. But for a year-old business, I was 6 months old when the pandemic hit. I was very fortunate. Recruitment suddenly shifted, everything online, nothing, no face-to-face stuff. So it was about 3 months where I had nothing to do. And other than that, it was all still running. So I really lucked out. But I think hospitality, all of these, I've had Dean on that owns Mango. Fuck me. I mean, they were hit really hard with what they were doing.
They couldn't open at all.
No.
So thankfully, I had to close. For X amount of time, but other time I could still be open. Yeah,
I remember coming up to your doors and you had the table across, didn't you? And then coming over and handing the coffee.
I was serving one person at a time, up and down.
What a thing to have to do. Testing enough already to put all those things in place to run a premises like that, and then you've got to put all of the restrictions.
I still had to pay rent as well. They wanted all that from me. I didn't get anything of that.
Really?
And the one nice thing about that was I remember that first day of reopening and doing it from like one in, one out sort of thing. I remember having a queue around the block, And I'm like, this is
wow.
fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, this was nice. To be fair, like, a lot of places didn't even bother opening. Because they took grants and they took whatever. But like I said to you earlier, I never opened Colt as a business. I opened Colt as a career change for myself. So I wanted to leave what I was doing before, but I wanted to make coffee. So I still wanted to be there. So I'd lived and breathed this shop for a year. At the time, I was single, so obviously Anna came along later, but I was by myself. So when COVID hit and I couldn't open, I was then sitting in my flat twiddling my thumbs. Like, what the fuck do I do?
But as you say, it sounds like the motivation was the process of actually doing the job, not just sitting there watching the money come in. Because I guess you could have done a load of other things that might have made you a bit more money. You don't know. So it's the process behind it. Wow. Okay, I wanted to ask. We've mentioned already that let's say the competition when you're looking at this is going to go out. So I hope a lot of people will be listening that don't live in Lee. That would be helpful. But there's a lot of coffee shops. Let's say a lot of places you can get coffee in Lee-on-Sea, especially on Lee Road, quite a high concentration. So how much does that come into your head? You're coming with this, like, you know, these aspirations of doing the job, making people coffee. You've got something in your mind. Do you factor in the competition, or are you just so single-minded that you go, I'm doing it differently and I'm doing it the way I'm going to do it?
I'm very competitive.
Okay.
Very competitive. If I do something, I want to be the best at it.
Okay.
So I'm not going to, I do my research. I make sure it's on point.
Nice.
Hence why my coffee's better. Not being arrogant.
I just say it.
My coffee's better than everyone else's because I do the little thing. I do the steps.
Right.
Most people don't do them steps. Hence why their coffee's shit. But everyone in Lee has good coffee.
Yeah.
This is what's really frustrating. Me as a coffee drinker, when I have a day off, not many, but when I do have a day off, I want to go and have a coffee somewhere. And I've got all these places that got cracking coffee, but no one knows how to make coffee. And it's just annoying.
For anyone listening, I have embarrassingly had to offer Andy an instant coffee, which I had anxiety about doing, but he's graciously drinking it, which is fair. I'm not a connoisseur by any stretch, but I love your coffee, and I speak to a lot of people that say the same, and I think, you know, the proof's in the pudding, really. There's always a queue of people. Whatever time I go past your shop that are waiting to be served by you, I can't say that. I'm not going to comment on the quality of the coffee anywhere else, but I can't say there's a queue going out the door or whatever it looks like for anyone else. So you've gone in there with that mindset that I'm going to have the best coffee. So it sounds like then you're not put off by the fact that I don't know how many other coffee places, but there's a lot in that stretch of the road, isn't there? So how else do you go about differentiating your place to anyone else? Are you thinking purely about the coffee, but then the aesthetic? You mentioned that you're building the tables. So have you got that in your mind before you set the shop up, that you know the aesthetic you want it to look like? It's got a very particular, I'm going to say the word vibe, which makes me cringe, but it's got a vibe in there.
It's evolved over the years and things have changed, but like I said, them tables, there's tables I wanted, I couldn't find them at the time, so I just made them.
Nice.
And they've stood well. They've stood the time. The bars in the window, I made all them and stuff. I done most of that work in that shop myself. Like I said, I'm pretty good hands on. I'll give it a go. I obviously had someone in putting the stud walls up and that, but decorating everything we done. But underneath the counter, I built all the shelving in there and stuff. All the shelves that are up behind it. I done all that because it was just, I knew I could do it and didn't have to pay someone to do it.
Oh, there you go.
You know
well, that's it. Cost comes into your head, doesn't it? But also now you can take a step back, because now you'd argue maybe you got the money to, if you started again, you'd pay someone to go through that process. But actually that feeling that, that pride that you get.
I don't know if I would though, because I'm quite controlling.
Oh, look, if you could, I think that's a really important thing to admit. I'm the same. There are elements of my business that I can outsource, being a one-man band, but I would just be it's almost, I feel sorry for the person I'd be paying to do it, because I'd be an arsehole, I think. I'd just be, I tried to, that shop is a reflection of me. Everything in that shop is everything I would like, I would have. So that's why I think people like us and what it is, because it is a very personal touch in there, and it is very, it's an extension of me. If I change stuff in this because I really like it, and I'll get them sort of things, and I'll pay a lot of attention to a lot of details. And even now, 5 years later, I'm still like looking to make it better. Because there's a very particular aesthetic. There is an aesthetic in there, and there's a lot of art in there that I'm assuming, given what you've just said, you've curated that. You've chosen whatever art's gone on the wall, and that's changed over the years too, isn't it? What you're showing there. But it is an awesome space to be in.
Thank you.
How do you transition from? So you're a gas engineer. Mm-hmm. You're going around to people's houses.
Yeah.
Usually, I'd imagine 1-on-1, 2-on-1, maybe dealing with one client at a time. Now you're behind the counter in a coffee shop, dealing with queues and queues of people. The customer service part of it.
Yeah.
How did you transition into that? How was that an easy transition?
Yeah,
The intonation.
I'm me, and I'll always be me in that shop. If I'm having a bad day, I'm having a bad day. I'm not going to hide it. I know that's a bad thing, and you gotta like put a smile on all the time and that. But it's hard. We live in a real world. I live in a real world. If I'm having a shit day, I'm having a shit day. Like, I know it's probably not the best thing to be like, but that's the way it is. People moan. I've heard people moan about me sometimes that I'm fucking not smiling, this, that, and the other, but I'm not going to fake smile to you. If I'm having a bad day, I'm having a bad day, man.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Instead of bad mouthing, be like, you're all right. You know what I mean? That's what you could do, couldn't you? But people just straight away want to have a dig at you.
I think the expectation again in Lee is that you're going to have like your customer face on. And whatever's going on behind the scenes, there's the expectation that someone's always going to be smiling, always going to be saying whatever it is to kind of appease the customer. Do you know when I think personal feeling around it? Is if you're unashamedly honest about it, I don't think you can have a problem. If you're sitting there saying, no, I'm this and this, pretending to be something you're not, that's when it becomes inauthentic or disingenuous. But if you're honest enough to say, I'm having a shit day, I'm not going to try and mask it, because half of the issue that people burn out in the jobs they do is because they're masking the way they're really feeling. So I've got all respect for it, but it is a transition. I sit in an office on my own every day. If you put me in a customer-facing role day in, day out, I would be an arsehole. I'd be pretending not to be one, which would mean I wouldn't be doing the job for very long, if I'm honest. But
I think that also the difference with mine is that I'm 5 years deep and I'm the owner, but I'm still the guy who's behind that ramp every day. And a lot of businesses aren't like that anymore. Like I said, I opened it as a career change, not as a business. I could step back now if I wanted to, and I could staff that shop fully and kind of not be around and do whatever. But I want to make coffee still. I still want to be doing that side of it. So I want to be there. I want that interaction with the customer. So I think there's a lot more pressure on it with that as well.
Yeah,
you kind of
definitely.
got to be. People expect to see me behind there.
Yeah.
And when where was you yesterday? I'm like, I can have a day off. Again.
But how nice as well. Like the expectation that you're going to be there it's a blessing and a curse, isn't it? But what a nice thing that you're. Both the shop front is like such a mainstay of Lee Road now. If that wasn't there as Colt and that little A-frame with the Colt logo wasn't there, people would mourn the loss of that. And that's a lovely thing that in 5 years you've created this absolute sort of, this mainstay in what is a really, there's a lot of independent businesses in Lee, which I'll talk about towards the end too. But yeah, mate, I applaud what you've built there. It's amazing. But I do appreciate it comes with its own pressure as well, especially when you're the face of it.
Well, and you're doing it. It's not just that I'm just making coffee, but I'm doing everything. Like all the behind the scenes stuff, the ordering, the social media. That's all me.
Is it really?
Yeah, I do all
you do all your socials.
Everything. I do all of that sort of stuff. So then trying to think about that and trying to be on top of that while doing this and doing that, it's like
and smiling at customers all the time.
There's a lot and
being present.
And it's like, it's not excuses, but it does take its toll, and it is hard, but I wouldn't change it. I love it.
I think people just appreciate the honesty and the transparency. And like I said, it'd be disingenuous if you were sat there going, I'm having a shit day, but let me just put this fake smile on. And
I've made so many friends from that shop, that I go out with now out of them coming in. They're not customers. They are generally friends of mine that I'll go out with.
Yeah.
Which is lovely to be able to have that.
Yeah, nice.
You know what I mean?
So you're 5 years old now. When did you celebrate your 5th birthday? It was recent, wasn't it?
8th of February.
8th of February. Oh shit. So super recent. Happy birthday, mate.
Thank you.
You're the only person working in there behind the counter for how long? So when you're making coffee, you start the business. How long is it that you're the only person that's making coffee for your customers before you start hiring staff?
Oh,
I guess
see.
Is the question I'm asking.
Just after COVID, really.
Okay.
I started needing proper help.
Yeah. Okay.
So Sam did work Mondays at one stage.
Yep.
She was doing the Monday, so the very first year I kind of done the 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And then Sam started doing the Monday, and that kind of helped take that.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot, 7
Yeah.
days a week,
Yeah,
the hours you were doing, yeah.
So then I was doing 6 days a week, and then the weekends started getting busy. I was like, shit, I need some. And then I just had friends that kind of helped me out.
Yep.
And like jumped on when I needed and stuff like that. And then I kind of, everyone that works for me now I've known them through the shop. They're friends I've become.
Just struck up conversations over the years and then fancy it.
And in they come. And they work for me.
Yeah.
And a lot of people before that were friends that I've just known. I've been like, do you want some hours? All right, cool. Do you want to come work?
Oh, nice.
And that's what it was.
Yeah, because I was just wondering, again, you're a self-confessed, you didn't say control freak, but you like to be in control maybe.
Yeah.
I think it's the same with my approach. When I think about I could grow the business, but it'd mean hiring people. The irony is that I work in recruitment, but thinking about recruiting anyone for work for me is painful.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering how that because you're giving someone else even a partial bit of control to even if it's just representing Colt when they're standing there too. Like, what's that process like? But it seems like you've got the warmest audience there in the first place to start thinking, I'll get on with you.
Yeah.
This is working. Yeah. Come behind the counter and we'll start training you up from there. So it doesn't sound like it was it sounds like it was an organic process to then start bringing people with you and building it now.
Yeah.
So and the thing that stops you just staffing that shop is because you like the process of being behind a counter and making the coffee.
100%.
So do you longer term then? I was saving this for the end, but I'll ask it now. What are the plans for that shop? Do you see yourself doing that for the foreseeable?
With that shop?
Yeah.
I don't know what's the plans for that shop at the minute. I don't know where I'm going to go with it. As in, I'm happy with it, where it is and what it's doing. It's great. I need to sort the tattoo inside out of it a little bit more.
Is that because you need someone actually work? I don't know much about the tattoo inside of it.
I had artists out there, but they left and opened their own studio.
Right.
I'm now in control of that. So me and Sam were business partners. We're now not.
Okay. Yeah.
So I've brought her out last year.
Yeah.
So now it's just fully my business.
Right.
So I take control of everything now.
Right.
So I just need to try and hopefully get some. It's tattooing's hard at the minute from the sounds of it. It's just trying to get artists in there and stuff.
Yeah.
Everyone's after artists, so it's just a bit like, I don't know. Cult is what Cult is at the minute. Yeah. I'm happy with it. We'll give it until the end of the year and we'll see what happens.
Nice.
And we'll see what happens with that. My goal for the future is I'd love another shop.
Yeah. In this part of Essex or further afield?
Oh, in this part of Essex.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I need to be close enough to people know who the brand is.
Yeah.
Be close to me, but not too close to me to take my own business.
Yeah. Because you're literally just siphoning off people that could be going up to you.
But then there's a lot of Westcliff would be the area if I move anywhere.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a lot of people moving from Leeds to Westcliff now. And I think
there's a lot of money coming into the area now, isn't there? Yeah. Because I think a lot of it is driven by the fact that the prices initially aren't as high, so it's all starting to spill out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting.
I think Westcliff is going to be is going to rock it up. I'm hoping.
Yeah.
I'm hoping he's going to start getting a lot busier, which would be nice.
I'd be interested in seeing how that evolves, mate. That sounds like there's definitely plans afoot with that. There's
plans there, and I think I need to also step back from Colt.
Okay.
In a way, not step back, but I need to, before I can open something else.
Yeah.
I need to kind of come back from that a little bit to give myself time and space to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Because everyone says to me now, would you open another one? And I'm like, yeah, I would love to. Then their next question is, what are you going to do then? Are you going to be in Colt or would you be in the new one? And I'm like, shit.
I didn't think that far.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? I'm like, fuck, I can't be in both places. So it's nice that people, like I said, people come in to see me, which I love.
Yeah.
And they want that, but it's then very it puts another thing on you, like stress on you. But
it's pros and cons. Again, I don't want to keep comparing what I do and what you do, but from a ownership control perspective, I love the branding stuff that I do, and I don't know what you're like with doing the socials.
Yeah.
You know, half of it is a bit of ag, but the aesthetic's the same. There's continuity there, and also you don't have to invest time in upskilling somewhere else, but you're also investing your own time in doing it. So it's always this catch-22.
It's all time.
Yeah.
If I've got time, I love doing all of it.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to, in a way, do a little bit of a rebrand with Colt this year. I want to add some bits, and I want to push the Colt brand a lot more this year. That's my focus is this for this year. So it's time.
Where did the name come from? Because I mean, it works so well, and I think when you think about the community that you've built around Colt, I mean, it works even better. So where did the name come from?
It's not a great story, I'm afraid.
Okay, look, the story's a story.
We got the shop and we needed to register the business, and then we were going through stuff, and there was a list of stuff, and I was like, I really like Colt, and then it was like, let's call it Colt. And that was literally it.
It can be as basic as that, though, can't it?
But I didn't know what to call it for such a long time.
Really?
It was the hardest thing.
Yeah.
And then there was just a list of them, and then that just looked at me, and I was like, yeah, Colt's the one.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
It's worked out so well. I think community. So running theme throughout season 2 of Jobsworth has been every single guest that I've invited on is a business owner, an entrepreneur, or a creative person that's based in and around Leigh-on-Sea.
Yeah.
Some are slightly further, but we only go as far as Southend. And it was my sort of hope during the course of these conversations to kind of pinpoint why the concentration of entrepreneurs, business owners, creatives is so high around this area. Because I think it is. I feel like you look at Lee Broadway, you look at Lee Road, and there are so many independent shops there. And I think that's what makes this area stand out. Yeah. So we talk about community. And I asked one of my guests, I don't know if you know Charlotte Sayer. She owns the Boundary wedding venue.
Oh yeah.
Charlotte came on, and she was. It was a great conversation. But she mentioned this sense of collaboration between business owners in Lee.
Yeah.
Now I've got to say, Andy, I think I've seen you in maybe every shop on Lee Road at one time or another. So do you think Charlotte's got something there? Like they're a business, and don't get me wrong, you're not going to get collaboration between all businesses, but there does seem to be this real collaborative mindset between a lot of business owners. Do you experience that?
100%. We are all small business at the end of the day, and we're all in it. We all want to do well, so we all trying to support each other. Do you know what I mean? I think, especially on my bit of Lee Road, I've got the local merchants, I've got Vino, then I've got other kids, just us 4 together there. We've got a wicked little
all the
group.
shops I've seen you in, ironically.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? And we all go to each other, and we all like support each other because we know how tough it is.
Yeah.
So you can't try and do all that.
Was that bond kind of forged a bit deeper during COVID, do you think? Or was it did it just happen again organically because of where you're based and location and that?
I think so. I think local merchants weren't there.
No, that was after. Yeah.
Because they're only just over a year old, aren't they?
I think so, yeah. They were celebrating their year anniversary.
They weren't there. And at the time, I think when COVID hit, Jamie wasn't Vino, that was Sam and Charlie.
I should know. I think Jamie took it over sort of tail end of 2020. So when it first... It's embarrassing because I've interviewed Jamie. Anyway, 2020, 2021. But yeah, Charlie and Sam definitely had the shop went like during the deepest, darkest first lockdown, let's say, the March 2020. Yeah.
Gemma was the other kid, she was there. Yeah. But she'd only been on Lee Road a little while because she'd come to Lee Road just because she used to be up near Chalkwell Park.
Yeah, she'd moved the shop from nearabouts where I live, actually. I remember when they did that move.
So she moved down to Lee Road. So then she struggled through COVID because she couldn't be open. Yeah. But she was doing what she could to kind of make money.
Survive.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that collaborative kind of effort that's made from everyone, and you can see it as well, like, you know, a charity that you do a lot of work for, Golden Geese, is it literally, you go down, it's a local charity and it does some incredible work, but you go down Lee Road or Lee Broadway, those posters are in every single shop, everyone in that community pushing together and doing stuff. And you've done a lot of collaborations with brands that have showcased either art or fashion in Colt as well, haven't you? So I don't think you get that everywhere, and that's why I think. I mean, I'm not on the Leigh-on-Sea tourist board, and I've got a lot of issues with this area as well. I think and a lot of the guests that I've spoken to are in a similar mindset. There's a lot of things that, you know, maybe you wouldn't shout out about, but I think, you know, businesses and individuals looking after each other does seem to be a running thing.
You've got to. Like I said, we're all in it for the same thing.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, by the end of this season, I'm definitely gonna have come to like a concise conclusion about what it is about this area that draws people in. I'm getting there. I've got a few episodes left. Okay, so Andy, I'm gonna now go to the closing tradition on this podcast. Now, if you've not got through, as I've said this a lot, I don't hold it against anyone if they've not listened to these episodes. But the closing tradition on my podcast is I've kind of nicked the idea from a very famous podcast where the previous guest leaves a question for the next guest. But I haven't done that.
Oh, okay.
What you get is a question from my mum.
Yes.
Now, all I do is get... My mum's played a big part in a lot of my branding, which you won't find in many recruitment agencies. But mum likes to get involved, and I think it'll hurt her feelings if I didn't play it. So I give my mum a rough bio of the guests that I've got on.
Oh, God.
And then she just asks a question on a voice note. Now, I don't listen to the question beforehand, so I apologise in advance for whatever she's asked, but I play it down the mic.
Hi, Andy. As more people turn away from dairy, what is the best plant milk that you can recommend for your product? Thank you.
Fantastic.
Bless you, Mum. Bless you. I thought she might go down that route of plant milk.
Yeah.
Now, why do I feel like you've got an issue with plant milk? Or are you all right with it?
No, I only have one.
Yeah, right, okay.
I use oat milk and that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But any others you just wouldn't... Because there's a difference between people that want to go down the sort of non-dairy route and what works when you're making coffee, because you talk about the process. So without geeking out about it, are there some milks that just do not work, in your opinion, when you're making coffee?
I just... When I opened Colt, I wanted to make a product that I loved and I liked. It's really bad. I don't like other alternative milks. Right. So I'm not going to sell them.
Yeah. There you go.
Simple as that. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think they work well with my coffee. Oat milk is... I don't personally drink milk in my coffee anymore.
Right.
I used to have cow's milk, then I went to oat milk, and now I don't like milk in my coffee at all.
Right. Yeah.
But oat milk's the only one that tastes nice in it.
Yeah.
Or doesn't taste, but that's
your opinion.
It's my shop.
Do you know what, though, mate? I love that, because I do a lot with businesses and individuals about branding and personal brand, and your personal brand should filter out the clients that you want to come to you and the ones that you don't. By doing what you want to do, you know, unashamedly, I'm going to filter out the people I want coming into my shop, because it's a product that I'm happy to put my name to, and that's
and I'm proud to serve, and I know that's what tastes right, and I know my coffee tastes good with it, so I'm going to bring that product out.
Nice.
I'm not going to do something because I want to make money from it or whatever. I'm going to do it because I believe in it.
And you're putting your name to it at the end of the day, aren't you? Yeah. I know Mum's going to ask me if I don't ask this question. What particular brand of oat milk? We're not sponsored, but what particular brand of oat milk would you go for?
Minor Figures.
Nice.
I've always used Minor Figures. It's the only oat milk I drink.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of Oatly.
Yep.
Personally, I'm not going to lie. I haven't tried many of the others. Okay. There are a lot out there now. Yeah. And there are a lot of barista ones, which you need that to obviously foam the milk and that. But Minor Figures is Minor Figures. I kind of went with them in the first place because their branding's wicked. I love their branding, and I like the idea of having them in the shop. And then I just love working with them. So
nice. Cool.
Minor Figures are the only one I use.
Lovely stuff. Maybe we will be sponsored by Minor Figures.
That'd be great. Minor Figures.
Be nice. Yeah, Minor Figures. Yeah. Andy, it's been an absolute pleasure having you in, mate.
No, thank you
so much for that really honest conversation too. And I've enjoyed the rest of your day, mate. Really enjoyed that. Thank you. Thanks for listening to Jobsworth. If you enjoyed this episode, please feel free to like and subscribe. You can stay connected by following me on LinkedIn for more insights on the world of work, behind the scenes content, and updates on upcoming episodes.